So I'm the senior officer with responsibility for the environment here at Church House, and so it's been particularly lovely to hear like so many things that you're doing, and because spend a lot of time in the hypotheticals, and you're actually doing it, and it's really good. And so thank you for that. What I'm here to talk to you about is something that's come out. We have a partnership with Exeter Diocese on the environment, so we like to talk to our neighbours and work together. And currently we have some funding from the National Church, which we applied for together as a partnership. And that funding, for example, pays for Ben Wood, for those of you who've met him, who helps advise on sort of heating and reducing energy carbon emissions in churches. And one of the things that Exeter has been working on that we're looking to see whether we could partner with is the creation of a new commissioned role and an associated training course. So really, this is me coming to you as the experts to see what you think and get some feedback about whether this is something we might run in our diocese, whether we might change what we're proposing. It's really to get some feedback from you. So this is not me going, we're definitely doing it like this, or we're definitely doing it, but you think it's the worst thing you've ever heard of, I'll just go away and hide under my desk again. But I'm hoping that it's a good thing. So I'm going to share some slides, and then I'd really appreciate any feedback from you at the end. Any questions, I will explain, Judith, worry not. But also, if you have any thoughts afterwards, I'm going to send my PowerPoint to Rosie so she can share it with you and any people who weren't able to make today. Just again, there's an opportunity for any feedback from any of you. So this is, like it says, it's a proposal for consultation. So it's see what you think. The proposed title is the creation of a leader for creation care. And what is this? So this is a commissioned role, commissioned by the Bishop of Truro. Some of you may already have a commissioned role. You might be a local worship leader, a local pastoral minister. Some of you might be a licensed role. You might be a permission to officiate clergy person or a clergy person, or you might be a reader or something pioneer. So we have a number of roles that are commissioned, and this is a really, really important part of the lay ministry and the life of our church, having these commissioned roles. And so basically, to have a commissioned role, it requires completion of accredited training, which includes theology. And it is a form of ministry. So it would be a ministry role. It would be in partnership with our ministry team. So it's not just the environment team working with you. It would be recognised fully across the diocese as a commissioned role, and is part of the ministry team within a parish and within a benefice. And it would sit alongside these other lay commissioned roles. So, like I said, like local worship leaders. And ultimately, it's about recognising creation care in ministry and the life of the diocese, and saying that that's a really important thing, just as worship or pastoral care is really important. This is also really important. And there are examples of it from across the country. So it's not something really weird that we're doing that everybody else will think, oh no, how dare you? And who's it for? So there's obviously reason why I'm talking to you. It's for lay people who want to see the church taking its place as a leader in caring for creation, and particularly for creation care champions who might like to explore more the theology of creation care and perhaps develop their role further. So ideally, the route would be someone would already be a creation care champion. They would talk to their PCC and say, I would really like to sort of develop this further. With the support of the PCC, they would go further and come to us and say, actually, I would like to be a leader for creation care. And there would be a conversation about that. But it's not massively complicated in terms of putting yourself forward. But obviously, we need to make sure that you've understood what you're letting yourself in for, what the requirements are, but also so we could explain it and you make sure that we understand that actually, yes, you have the support of your parish or your church, and this is the right thing for you, because everyone is aware, as perhaps say Judith mentioned earlier, many of you have many different roles, and we know that us adding something else to the mix we don't want it to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So it's really, so this is why this is a consultation, to see if it's something we do. So thinking about what a role description might be, and this is kind of quite top, sort of simple at this point of time, and it probably wouldn't get massively more complicated because it would vary per person, but essentially it's someone who's committed to creation care and the environment, someone who's active in leading environmental projects in their church, that they work with others in the church and beyond to promote creation care, and this is been a missional endeavour, and someone who works with others in their church to help embed the theology of creation care into the worshipping life of the church. So that might be where some of you perhaps aren't necessarily doing so much of it, and this is why, because to have a commissioned role, there's quite a significant aspect of any training would be around theology. Some of you may already be experts in that, but it's a particular area that we're interested in beefing up as an offer to people in our diocese, because at the moment there isn't much that we can offer. And I put some example activities. I won't read them all, but we could put this in the role description. It's and it is things like what many of you are already doing, is enrolling your church in eco church, but also continuing that, getting your bronze, then maybe progressing to silver, and if you have capacity, going further than that again, but keeping that good work going. Working with other organisations, like a number of you are. I know, for example, Cornwall Wildlife Trust was mentioned earlier. Identifying projects that could be worked on, working with local schools, for example. Again, I know Rob was talking earlier, and again, that's something a number of you do. So some of you are going, well, I'm already doing all that. And I'd be like, yes. So this is partly, it's about recognising what so many of you are doing already. So it's not about asking you to do a load of extra stuff, but it's adding a kind of that seal of approval, but also underpinning it with some training. So what is the training? I hear you speak, Judith. So like I said, first step, like with all commissioned roles, the PCC needs to support it. And this is really just that you've had a chat with the PCC. Ideally, it's minted at a meeting that you're going forward for that. And that's not, it sounds like a kind of bureaucratic process, but it's really, it's about that you have support from your church and you're not on your own in that. And that ideally, and I know sometimes some people might feel a bit on their own. I hope that's not the case for any of you, but it's about saying that it's whilst it would be you or that person going forward for it, it wouldn't necessarily, it is not a solo endeavour. In terms of the course, which would be a new course that we're working on with SWMTC, which is Southwest Ministerial Training College, which they train curates, they train readers, they train a number of other roles, but and they're particularly, actually, they're currently developing a much bigger and more coherent environment-related theology offer. So they're really keen to work with us on this, and obviously they are a recognised and respected provider of theological training. So provisionally, this was looking at 3 terms over 6 to 9 months, with 2 in-person sessions and the rest online, which would be up to 35 hours in total. Sessions would normally be 2 hours. We haven't set days or times yet, so that's partly we're waiting to hear from SWMTC, and I need to say yes, we definitely want to do it. And so, like I said, the theological delivery would be by SWMTC, and the rest of the delivery would be by staff from Truro and Exeter Diocese. And our aspiration is that we'd have a joint cohort with some colleagues, some people from Exeter and some people from Truro. Because it's online, this enables us to do that. I have added a link onto this, which you'll be able to see, which is actually Exeter already got a kind of a booklet about the role and the course, which you could have a look at to give you some more information once this is sent out. A little bit more about what might be on the course. So these are the headlines, really. So you see there's theology, there's about eco-church and community engagement, there's about creation care in our context, so looking at things like the national context, the route map to net zero, what's happening there, what's happening in our diocese, so our own plans and the work that we have and the colleagues that we have to support churches and the work we're doing with schools and so on. And then about working in churches and those practical steps, really. And the term 2, there'll be the carbon literacy training and a look at sort of more creative stuff, looking at books and films and so on, as well as the theology. And then term 3, as well as the theology, looking at living churchyards and biodiversity. So Sharon will be delivering that section, for example, and looking at school eco partnerships, and then looking at having an environment action plan as the kind of a final assessment for the qualification, really. So, and then once you get to that point, you've done the course, you've completed it, is the commissioning. And what we'd hope to do is have Bishop David commission people at the annual Creation Care service. So again, you'd want the support of your PCC. The commissioning would last for 3 years. You need to have completed the course, including the coursework. And there's not a massive amount of coursework, so it wouldn't be terrifying. And also, like we do with all commissioned roles, we ask people to complete the leadership level of safeguarding. So I'm going to stop sharing. And that's a kind of whistle-stop tour. And like I said, I will share it with Rosie and then she can share it out. And I was just wondering if any of you had any initial thoughts about, is this something that some people might like to do? Is it? Yes. Andrew.
Apologies for those who know what I'm going to say now. Ecumenical aspect, as a Methodist, who's very much involved in eco-church, etc., what conversations have been had with other denominations about doing this ecumenically, since we're supposed to be in a covenant?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
No, I haven't had conversations with the Methodists or others, because I have to admit my most recent meeting setting the course was with Exeter was yesterday. Obviously we can't commission Methodists, but I don't see and there is a cost which we are covering for the bottom SWMTC, but I absolutely think it would be a lovely thing to be able to offer. If people wanted to do the course, we can, and the Methodists wanted to, I don't know the version of commissioning that the Methodists have, but if they had something, or any other denomination, so I'd be more than happy to look at how we could make that work in the ecumenical context, because the course looks really interesting, and if it enables different denominations to do what we'd hope to achieve, that would be brilliant.
And I don't tell them I've said that, but the Methodists should then put in some money to it.
Yeah, it's not a massive amount as well.
No, but I'm just saying that.
So I'd even for the Methodists it might be affordable. So there you go. So is the best person to speak to Kathy Pope? Or would it be to you, Andrew?
No, not to me. But well, to the chair of the Methodist district, Dan Haylett, and say that you're doing this, and would the Methodists be interested in being involved in some way?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Mike?
So as a Methodist who's now become part of St Clement Church and therefore very much part of the diocese, it exhibits really the Anglo-Methodist link, and there has always been a very strong link within Cornwall with Steve Daw and others. And I know of people within the Methodist Church, my former church at Weybridge, would be very keen on doing something like this. And I think that it would, the theology is something which we share. It's the it's the structure which often differs. There's differences in doctrine. Let's not worry about this. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think it can help formalize our thoughts. Some of us are scientists, some of us are more on the theology line. It will bring people together. So I hope it takes place. I think it's brilliant. So thank you.
Thank you. Anne?
Yeah, because I've just heard about this. First I've heard of it, and I can't remember all your slides, but it seemed to be very light about anything to do with speaking up. Has it?
So where that would basically, there'd be a kind of a unit on eco-church and working with your community. So that would be one aspect where speaking up. But what we could do is specifically make sure that it includes speak up, if you see what I mean. And also the bit about what you can do. So the first term, there'll be quite a lot about it, but what I can do is make sure that it's very explicitly there as well, because it is really how you work with the community, how you work within your church, and how you work within your diocese.
Yeah, and I think it's just the whole, you know, the things about the church speaking out again about things. It's always sort of been the poor relation in creation care, I feel. So it's but we need to, so thank you.
Absolutely. And me and my colleagues and the Diocesan Environment Committee, so Bishop Hugh and Mike Sturgis, who's the chair of that committee, have had the same conversations about how that does tend to be the poor relation and how we need to go back to it, particularly now we have a new bishop and now Bishop Hugh is moving on. We're looking at who might be that champion voice at that very senior level as well, because that's been really valuable, and we want to try and regather that. David?
Similar but slightly different angle to Anne's. Bearing in mind that care for creation is one of the 5 marks of mission. I know that underneath all of that syllabus, there's missionary bits underlying all of that. But I think I'd like to see a little bit more explicit mission in there. Not necessarily evangelical, but I think when we're reaching out to our community and involving the community, all good. But I'd like to see it not just speaking up, but also missionary.
Yeah. And fundamentally, and this is, so for example, we're having a lot of conversations about work with children and young people with my colleagues, and it's one of the things I keep on coming back to with my colleagues is that it's a missional engagement opportunity, for example. It is with the wider community, and it's actually one of the kind of more safer spaces, I describe it, for people who might be nervous about church, the environment and their living churchyard and the other aspects of the environment are fundamentally one of the best opportunities for mission we have. And so absolutely, but I will make sure that that's really explicit. Christopher?
I just think this is good because this gives an authorization, if you like, authority within the PCC to actually address this. If it's, we as champions or whatever we are, as long as everybody's on board with it, we'll go along with it. But if the very fact that it's a leadership role that's commissioned gives it authority, and therefore means that our churches will have to embrace green, whether they like it or not, if you like. And I think that's a good thing. And I go along with the other people who've raised it, but it's a real outreach thing. Young people are being educated in green things at school, and it's something we can build on and keep going with, so we can build on from there. I worry that we need somebody younger or younger people in this leadership role, rather than, I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but we are fairly grey looking around the screen.
Yes, and it's something, because I'm talking to the head of ministry, because he's leading on our work, which is called Growing Younger, which is how we're hoping to engage a lot more young people and across all our churches, about how we, and so he's really excited about this as an opportunity to have it as part of our offer for lay ministerial training, really, that it's alongside those other things, but actually that offer is open. Yes, it will be sort of aligned with what is offered in terms of working with children and young people, and be amazing to get some young people to do it. But I know we have to go baby steps with that kind of thing. So for some of us, that seems like a pipe dream. For some of us, it's a reality. And I know that's, but thank you, Christopher. George?
Thanks very much, Kate. That sounds really encouraging, all of that. Just following on from, I think, what David mentioned, I was about to mention about the 5 marks of mission as well. And of course, one of those is about transforming unjust structures in society. I'm not suggesting that personally, creation care champions all take that on board, but since it's part of what the Church of England, Anglican Communion should be involved in, is this going to feature in any way? So, for instance, an example of that might be, I don't know, divesting from any fossil fuel companies that churches might be investing in, or with banks who are helping support fossil fuel companies, and so on and so forth. I know that's very political, and people have different feelings about that, but it is part of the Mark's mission. I was just wondering if that would fall in somewhere.
Yes, so I've only once seen the unit about churches in the community, but it's something because and Eco Church, off the top of my head, I can't remember if it talks about I think it does, talks about banking, I'm pretty sure, at least in silver. I know because I'm looking at it for the Diocese of Truro, sort of the Board of Finance at the moment. So I think because Eco Church awards and criteria in there, it should be in there. But again, I can make sure that we explicitly reference it, because we do have conversations, and this is something I know that has a national level, about people focus on the one marker mission, which is really obviously about the environment, but actually some people say all 5 of them apply, but particularly that one as well, George. So absolutely, and I've made a note to include that, because it does reference Eco Church as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's, no one else is waving at me. So nobody's told me it's a terrible idea. So I'm hoping that if I progress to see if we get sort of to firm it up, and we'll just see if anyone's up for trying it, really. I'm not asking you to stand up now and say, yes, me, leap into it. It's more that I wanted to test the water, really. I think I've probably made that clear before I kind of take it any further. But Bishop Hugh, I did run it past Bishop Hugh while he was still acting Bishop of Truro, and he said he was very happy for a new licence role to be approved, or commissioned role, sorry, to be approved. So I do have I have the headmaster's seal of approval, so to speak, when it comes to, before I get too carried away. But yeah, so what I'll do, like I said, I will share this via Rosie, and I will come back to you. And if any of you want to have a conversation about it or have any other thoughts, please let me know. And I'm just hoping that it might be something that some of you or some of the other Creation Care champions think it might be worth doing. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. That's great. Now I'd like to introduce to you all Christiana Richardson, who's the Communications Assistant at Church House, to discuss Creation Care communications. Over to you, Christiana.
Hello. Hi, it's very nice to meet you all and hear what you're all up to. So thank you for having me. It's Creation Tide at the minute, so I've been doing a few stories well, during the whole of Creation Tide will come up new stories on things that we're doing to promote creation. And so we've got some eco schools on there, we've got some eco churches on there and other things. So I don't know if you have anything that you would like to send me, or another thing I was thinking of doing was doing a whole piece about what we're all doing in our churches. So I'm going to pop on my email address here, and if anyone was happy to send me a little quote about what they do in their church and why Creation Tide is important to their church, and maybe a little photograph of their church that you've taken yourself, because I don't want to be in trouble for copyright, that we could use as well, that'd be really lovely. And then hopefully I can make a nice little end of Creation Tide story about everybody. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Christiana. Did anyone have any questions about that for Christiana or myself or Kate? It doesn't look like it. Thank you very much for that, Christiana. That's great. It would be fantastic to see a summary of Creation Tide across the diocese. It'd be brilliant. I've already shared with Christiana, Sheila, the little film of the flag waving in a not too ferocious breeze. Next up, over to Rosie for our notices.
Yes, we've already mentioned the service, which is taking place on the 27th of September. That is a real plug for that, and I really do hope as many of you can make that. If you're thinking about transport, get in touch with us, and we can see if we can do some car sharing, because it's a little way. So that's that, and you would have seen the poster, and again it will be in the newsletter. We do have an event happening on the 4th of October at the Old Cathedral School, and very luckily we've got Mike Kent with us, and he's going to explain a bit about that. So Mike, are you all right to say something about the event on the 4th of October?
Yes, thanks very much. The command for us to speak out, I think sometimes for me it would be to shut up, but never mind. This was an opportunity for me to speak out during Creation Tide, and I've been working with Sharon and Rosie on putting on this event, which is developed in an iterative way, because I was really very keen to be involved in something I already regard myself as having a mission in terms of encouraging dialogue between science and faith. I mean, that's one of the things I do as a member of Christians in Science. So this was an opportunity for me to do that. And I thought, as it was October the 4th, I ought to know a little bit more about St. Francis. So I've delved more deeply into the life of St. Francis, more deeply than I think sometimes I would have liked, because I would have preferred to have some of the images, untested images in a way, of St. Francis. He is the patron saint of ecology and the environment, but from my readings of various readings around, his involvement in nature has been wonderful. But what I'm going to explore on October the 4th is whether or not he would really identify himself as an environmentalist, and whether he would be an ecologist. I'm an ecologist as well as someone who's a creation carer, and the term the event is called Caring for Creation from Home Garden to Home Planet, and that phrase has been chosen very carefully because I've been in conversation with a Franciscan. I have no authority as a Franciscan, so I decided to get some help from a Franciscan priest who's called Joachim Osterman. He's in Montreal. He's a former professor of biochemistry at Vanderbilt University. And his mission within the Catholic Church is to encourage dialogue between scientists and people of faith. And yesterday, I had a meeting with Joachim. Tuesday. And I had the privilege of looking at a 90,000 word manuscript that he's actually produced on beginnings, challenge, and nature care. So I feel better informed about a modern Franciscan viewpoint. That's what we're going to explore on October the 4th. It won't be me talking, so I will be speaking out, but there will be a limit of about 20 minutes. And I'll be leading a discussion, having an opportunity also to look at some Cornish wildlife. And I've got the privilege of having Adrian Langdon as my friend. And Adrian, as some of you will know, a brilliant wildlife photographer, and he's going to loan us some of his magnificent photographs, some of which have been viewed on BBC because he actually pictured the humpback whales off Falmouth and off the north coast. So we'll have an opportunity to have fun, to praise creation, to be challenged by some of our thoughts about St. Francis and this idea. St. Francis and the Franciscans do not regard the environment as their main concern. They regard their home and relationship, and the environment is merely a part of that. That just gives you a taster. I think that's enough. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. That's brilliant. And some of you might have noticed that I sent out a flyer about the event. So that's on Saturday. It's a Saturday, 4th of October, starting at 2 to 4 o'clock, and it will be at the Old Cathedral School, where the diocese is now based. We put on the flyer a telephone number or email address to book. Don't worry if you don't book, just please do come along or just let me know, because it was such an exciting event. We would like as many people to come as possible to share this time. So my next quick item is, this is something a little bit different. I don't know if some of you recall when we had Gaia come to the cathedral. That Gaia as in the whole earth, a massive, great big sculpture of the earth. Well, you might have seen that Mars is also going to be coming to Truro Cathedral, and that is in October. Now, what we like to do, if possible, is that we would like to treat you, Creation Care Champions, to a free viewing of Mars one evening. Now, we've chosen the evening, Wednesday, the 15th of October. We will be present. That's we as in Sharon and myself. I will send out with this a newsletter, and some of you would have seen already, to save the date, the 15th of October. So I will send you out details on how to book. There'll be a special code for you to put into when you're booking. So there's a special code to put in so that you will get a free ticket. But it'll be a really lovely opportunity, because you know, to see Sharon being our new Diocesan Environment Officer, to see her in person, it's really good, you know, to have that time together. So yeah, I do hope that you will take that opportunity up to come and view Mars. So that will be in the newsletter. And just finally, I was thinking it's Fair Trade Fortnight. That's from the 22nd of September, because it used to be in February, and I keep on forgetting that. Now it's from the 22nd of September through to the 5th of October. Do remember that. Get your fair trade tea bags out. I expect you all do anyway. We've got a big event coming at our church. We've got the opening of our Lifehouse project, and I'm just ensuring that we've got everything right with our fair trade, because we've got a little bit slack because we've had to pack everything away in our church. It's all in cupboards, but I want to make sure that we've all got our fair trade tea and coffee out. And so yes, it's just a plug for fair trade, really, and it's very easy to sign up to be a fair trade church, and that's one of the conditions of Eco Church. You virtually only have to do about 3 things, so I do encourage you to do trying to become a fair trade church as well. So I think that's all about it. Sharon. Anything else, Sharon, you would like me to add?
No, I was muted then and speaking
sorry.
myself. Anne Petty has her hand up, Rosie,
Yeah.
with a question.
It just triggered me, Rosie, when you were talking about fair trade, because another thing that I've been challenged by people, some people, about the use of fair trade things opposed to the sort of Rainforest Alliance, and there's another thing that you can use. And I just wondered at some point, because again, it's a bit of a minefield with everything, and just what all these things mean now as the world moves on, whether it might be a great thing to have some sort of teaching or something on what all these things mean, and where, because sometimes, you know, somebody was trying to point out that some of the coffee were actually better to maybe do the Rainforest Alliance, and it's really hard, you know. You're just thinking, well, because
that's a really good idea.
Yeah,
we did have Transform Trade a while ago, and it may be something which I can get in touch with them so that they can actually perhaps come and explain all the differences, because it is a minefield, like you said. I mean, I know about fair trade, but then again, someone else is pointing out that, and you want to have the correct answer, don't you, to say. So yeah, thank you for that, Anne. I'll look into that and see if we can get someone to come and talk and explain, or certainly do a little bit of research. Yeah, thank you. Make a note now.
Thank you very much for the notices, Rosie, and as always for your very hard work on all of our behalf in pulling these things together. It's greatly appreciated. Our next gathering is on Thursday, the 9th of October. We're going to have Ben Wood, our Churches Cut Carbon Officer, and Faye Edwards, Church Building Support Officer, come along to discuss ways to help our church buildings feel warm, and maintenance tips as we head in towards the winter. I think that will be really useful session at this time of the year. Obviously, we're hoping that many of us will also be together on the 15th of October as we enjoy Mass, War and Peace at the Cathedral. And looking ahead to November, I'm hoping that a Cornish-based organisation called Climate Repair will come along and give a presentation to us. Their work is centred more on water rather than carbon, and they have some very interesting ideas about how conserving water and using water can actually help us with climate repair. So more on that when that's confirmed. Before we finish, I just wanted to say a really big thank you to you all. This meeting this morning feels very much like being plugged into a battery. You're all doing such amazing work. I'm really humbled by it, and I look forward to working with you all into the future. Just well done, everyone. It's so amazing, and I feel fully recharged for the week ahead. So thank you very much for that. Please make contact if I can be of any help at any point, or even if you just want to have a chat and we can, nut out together what the next steps might be. Always happy to do that. Andrew Hill has very kindly agreed to offer us a prayer for the end of today. Thank you, Andrew, for doing that at such short notice. I really appreciate that. Over to you.
Thank you. This is a prayer from the Arosha website where they have some resources for the season of creation. And this is a collect which was suggested for the first Sunday, i.e. the Sunday just past. So we pray. Almighty God, you form the earth and all creation in wisdom and love, and you hold all things in your tender hands. Reshape our lives, turning us, renewing us, making our hearts supple through the refreshing of your Spirit, and teaching us to live in peace with your creation, that the world may rejoice and all peoples walk in your ways. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you all for your time this morning. I look forward to the next time we're all together.